Are we willing or open to offering more love into the situation? Whether this is love to yourself, working with what you have around you, becoming this person that you love, that you understand. Hello, Collective, it's Kai. I don't really know what the title of this video is going to be, and I just really wanted to share in understanding the ebbs and flows are the things that allow us to be freed, to make things a lot more easier and simpler. Sometimes there's this fear that comes up within me. Once again, disclaimer, this is all based on my own experience. I'm not trying to tell you what to do or what works best for you. So please use your discernment when consuming my content or any content in general. I love when I listen to podcasts or something and I just learn so much about myself. The things that I'm afraid of, the unwillingness to do things. Also, understanding more and more what my boundaries are. So in other words, presenting to me what I value, right? What morally feels right for me. Of course, there's this aspect of unconditioning myself from constructs that no longer align. It's also a process, a process that I get to unfold as I naturally live my life. And when I finally feel myself move into calmer waters, I sense this peace to sit down and just be present with what is. Not what I want, but truly what I need is to be with myself in this journey of discovery. I just posted this short yesterday. It was about fervently loving the things that you love. The things that are fun for you, the aspects of the things that are fun for you, and truly relishing in those things. Because one of the biggest things that I've learned from doing that is I have no regrets. I have absolutely no regrets. Even if at some points I'm like, oh man, that is such a big flashback. It's not who I am, it's who I was. So even letting go of that past version of myself and still learning from that past version of myself. I understood very deeply that I love music through the musicality that I was trained in growing up as a pianist. And it's just because I notice these things doesn't mean other people are experiencing that or noticing the same things, right? So it's how am I willing to share that, not only with myself, but with others? And so it allowed me to connect with others as well as have my own experience and honoring that. The same thing comes with love and partnership. Releasing these past constructs that someone needs to do something in order to show me that they are, quote unquote, worthy of my space and time, right? And I don't like to think in that way anymore just because of the fact that no one has to prove shit to me. You don't have to prove to me that you're worthy of my time, or no, it's actually up to my discernment. If I am present enough to understand me, to be present with me in this experience, am I feeling more light? Am I feeling more of myself around this person? And in reality, there are some hard pills to swallow. Am I willing to walk away from situations where I'm not being myself? And how can I work on being more of myself despite those differences? There's this whole thing where it comes to fantasizing love and just pretty much the what do you want to call that? The representations in which there is truth in that, though. Do you think that we literally created these things because there's nothing of existence from having that imagination? I hope that makes sense. That sentence in itself was just what? It's literally, if you really think about it, the things that we're imagining, the things that we desire, the things outside of ourselves that we can create, we can literally create it, whether it's poetry, film, whether it's storytelling, whether it's art, just art. And that is up to interpretation based on the perceptions of what people see and notice. So if you're noticing something, like such a good example, when you notice someone and you're like, wow, they're so confident, they're so beautiful, they're so X, Y, and Z, like all these positive, affirmative things, it's because you're witnessing that part of yourself in them. And they are embodying it in their own ways. And that's how you detach from that external confirmation. It's confirmation. You know how you can validate that experience is by developing it with yourself. How do you embody beauty? What feels beautiful for you? How do you feel confident? What do you do to feel more confident and empowered with yourself? And it's by building this knowledge to understand that you don't always need to present these opportunities for people to show up. When in reality, this is the opportunity, this present moment where you're recognizing that you don't feel fulfilled in certain situations, for example, that is exactly the opportunity for you to show up for yourself. So it's not about them. When I'm enjoying music, for example, right? Such a good example. Like in the Korean culture, there's a lot of things that go around in terms of like, there's something called saseng fans where literally they're like pretty much stalkers and don't understand boundaries, and it's just very invasive. And because of this aspect of putting people on a pedestal, thinking they're so great that you need to chase them like erratically and frantically just to prove to them that you think they're great. When in reality, you already think they're great, so they are that thing because you're already there. So when you don't think very highly of yourself, even more so, they are further away from you. And so when it comes to fangirling over, like, there are different like facets of, I'm talking about my culture, okay? Like, that's the only reason why I'm bringing this up, is because I truly witness it in a way where I've seen so many beautiful developments that have occurred through years of like the K-pop fan bases like pretty much growing and going overseas. And not only that, but even the way that Korean people have been interacting with Korean celebrities. And it's so ironic because it's like, now it's like, oh, but why shouldn't we be happy that they're happy with another person? That was such a big thing. And it's still quite something else, even to this day. So it's like, why wouldn't we be happy when they're so happy that they feel love and they finally can have communion with someone that's so beautiful that they start a family? There's so many different ways that you could look at this situation. And it's like the same exact thing when I bring it back to my own personal life. Why wouldn't I be happy? Just because I like someone, for example, just let's say that I like someone, right? And then they get with someone else. Why wouldn't I be happy? That's literally where I like have challenged my ego to understand that that is this egotistical way of viewing this thing. When in reality, if they are not meant for me, if they do not choose me, then why would I choose them? You know? It's like this level of self-respect that I've been developing time and time again because I needed to learn this. I needed to learn this, even if it's challenging, even if it's heartbreaking, even if it's not that. It's like I literally get to develop that way of being by constantly releasing. And I was just watching this podcast episode with James Corden, and he was saying like, he was correlating letting go with love. Because like he was using an analogy where you're holding a balloon, right? You're a kid with a balloon and you love this balloon, but you hold it on so tightly because you don't want to let it go, but it just dilapidates and it becomes something that just drags behind you. But when you don't do this, right? Environment. But when you let go of the balloon and it's so beautiful as it drifts up into the skies, into the heavens, you're not holding on to it, but you're still experiencing that love, that freedom, that fun, that enjoyment. And that's how I feel now. Maybe I didn't feel like that in the past, which is so valid. But truly, that's how I feel now. We're in this present moment, even if I have to let go, even if it's not here physically. One other thing that I wanted to talk about was it's quality over quantity. I had someone speak to me about dating apps because I was telling them that's just, it doesn't work for me. And it's funny because this is the second person that has said this to me, is that dating apps is a numbers game. And I was like, okay, but we're people. We're not numbers to me. Like, to me, right? So obviously different ways of interacting, right? So I respect the fact that they're on dating apps, just like I respect any of my friends who are very promiscuous, X, Y, and Z, because I practice abstinence and it's my choice, right? And so my thing about this is that I want quality connection with people, not just quick, not just, like, it's just not like that for me. That's where I differentiate. That's where I stand more in my power. That's how I know and understand myself. So when I'm understanding that this is about quality connection, how can I continue to develop that? How can I step forth, even if I'm afraid, to challenge my comfort zone? Challenging your comfort zone versus the dysregulated nervous system. From plugging into actions or choices in general that are familiar to me. I feel like there's just so much of like how do I explain this? Like a nuance, a fluctuation of ways in which everything is interlacing. So there's different aspects that I've been applying in this decision to not only choose myself, right? But to actually have this patience in allowing the process to unfold. When I totally bring myself to my own, like, aware, like, God, it's like, I really try to, like, verbalize these things well for you guys. But sometimes I'm like, it's in my mind, but I don't know how to verbalize it. But truly, it's like, you have all these desires, but what if it was all interlaced? What if they're all connected and you could have everything in this simultaneous moment? How does it weave together? What connects with what, in what way, to what degree? And it's like, you're the one who builds this structure. Your senses, things can change, yes, but there's also consistency that is present. Of course, with the feminine entity, there are different phases, and that can be quite a challenge when we live in a very patriarchal society, right? But because of the shifts that have been happening and the things that have been discovered and the ways in which people express themselves, so in other words, sexuality and things that are honestly just being more talked about and shown to the world, this is too changing that construct. Things are not the same, man. They're not the same as they used to be. It's as long as we're willing to notice those things. That is why you can develop a better understanding of your own progress and process. Because it's literally unfolding in front of you. But when you don't have that space to give that awareness, to be conscious, then you will literally not even see that clearly. I hope that makes sense, because truly, like, what are you willing to present in this opportunity from your different recognitions, realizations, right? Like, I feel like there are many times where I want to apologize to people because I'm just like, damn, I'm so sorry that I didn't notice all your efforts before. And then it's also understanding that, I can just show up in different ways. I can show up in different ways here. I can choose. It is not about what, like, and it's of course, like, if it's like a connection that's like of value to you, in other words, that you're like communing and like there's reciprocity, there's receiving, but there's also giving. And it's like, it's understanding those nuances, which is so crazy to me because it's like, I'm still figuring it out. And so that's why, like, when I recognize that I need space from a connection, for example, I'm just like, okay, this isn't so that I can intellectualize and, like, in detail, like, debrief with myself, like, this is what happened, X, Y, and Z. No, it's so that I can be present with the, like, subliminal, subconscious, like, effects that it's had on me. Right? And so I feel very inspired to allow myself to share these things with you guys, despite, like, honestly not always being clear And I think that's what makes it so beautiful, is that like you guys are going to pick up whatever resonates with you. And the things that maybe don't like make sense to me, like sometimes you guys explain it in the comments and I'm like, oh my God. This is what connection does, bro. Community. We build our own culture by speaking up and sharing the things that resonate with us. And just because I might not resonate with it doesn't make it invalid, right? Anyways, that is the video. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak, truly. Thank you for being here. Seriously. Like, I don't even know what to say besides that, because that's just what it is. That's just what it is. So thank you for being you. Thank you for being alive. And I'm sending you guys so much love and support on your own spiritual journey. Bye, collective.